a number that is used to identify a device on a network. Two types of IP address. 1. Static IP address. 2. Dynamic IP address.
First, I'm gonna show you how to assign IP address to static IP address using an iOS device. First is go to Settings. Then tap the Wi-Fi option. And we can see the active network connection that I'm connected with. Next is to tap the I button. And as we scroll down, we can see the IPv4 address. And here is the configure IP that was automatic. It only means that the IP address here is connected dynamically or automatically. Here, we can see my current IP address, the subnet mask, and the router's IP address or the default gateway. We need to remember and take note on the subnet mask and the router's IP address because we need it as we assign our IP address. Now, go to Configure IP, then change the automatic to manual. And now, we will assigning our IP address on our preferred way. On the router, type the router's IP address. As I said a while ago, remember your router's IP address as we need it in assigning. So my router's IP address is 192.168.254.254. And the subnet mask is 255.255.255.0 because it is in class C. And for the IP address, I'm assigning my IP address to 192.168.254 and I prefer 200. Then we will save it. As we save it, the network was disconnected for a while. Go first to configure DNS. Set it to manual. Then add server. Here we will type here the default gateway or our router's IP address. And then save it. And as you can see, the network was back or connected. And here the changes in the IP address that we assigned. Now, I'm gonna show you how to assign IP address to dynamic IP address using an iOS device. To set the IP address in dynamic, we will do the same thing as we did in setting the static IP address. Now, go to Settings. Tap the Wi-Fi button. Then click the I button on the network we are connected with. As we scroll down, we can see the configure IP. It was manual. Now, tap the configure IP. Then set it in automatic. When we will tap the save button, our connection will disconnected for a while, but we are reconnected again. As you can see, the network was disconnected. Now go to configure DNS, then set to automatic and then save. We can see that the connection was reconnected again. Now we can see the changes on IP address that was automatically assigned.